order. Where's Linda? I don't think she's ever missed.
She was mowing her field this afternoon when I came up.
Okay. Well, we will call the meeting to order. Roll call. Mr. Hines is present. Mr. Jackson. Present. Mr. Weddle.
Yes.
Mr. Paddock. Here. First item then, we do have a quorum. So the first item is approval of the meeting minutes of the August 12th meeting. Everybody have a chance to review. Anybody have any questions?
I move that we approve the minutes for the last meeting.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Do we have any audience requests? Anybody?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Tonight, after the meeting, we're awarding our second Ring Foundation Scholarship to a young lady, high school student. Our first one is taking his check right now. But if you guys like to stay for that, that'd be wonderful. The principal's going to be here, the superintendent's going to be here from the school district, and I think her teachers that she has will be here as well.
Oh,
So,
great.
this is a $10,000 scholarship.
Wow.
Get a positive.
Very nice. Which school?
Southport.
Okay.
I was just Greenwood.
Is that at a certain time or is it just whenever this is over?
Pardon me?
Is that at a
It's whenever
certain
this
time?
is over.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they're gonna start at 6:30 if we end before that.
Rick, you got a manager's report?
Yeah. So our fuel sales were pretty good once again in August. We sold 9,000 gallons of avgas, which is 17, almost 18% above what we did last year in August. And year to date, we are at 49,822 gallons for low lead. That's up 6.4% year to date. Jet fuel, we sold just over 13,000 gallons. So that puts us 47% above what we did last August. And for the year to date total, we're at 93,504 gallons, which is 35% above what we did last year, or almost 25,000 gallons above what we did last year.
Great.
So our turbine traffic increased as well in August with the total operations of 216. That's an increase of 32.5%. We're still 3% below the total for the year to date. But like I said, that sometimes we miss things. So that'll be later on. I'll talk about in one of our project updates. The first one is master seating and cooling. We had a couple of repairs that needed replaced with the AC unit in this building. That's why this room's a little hotter than normal. So they're supposed to be here on the 14th to replace the AC unit that takes care of this room. And then in the NGC building, we had a furnace that the fan failed and kicked the breaker, and the AC unit froze up and leaked. So we got all that. We got that part fixed. Just need to replace the ceiling tiles over there, and then we should be good. And then this number 2 here on the state has been working with the Indiana airports in trying to find a better way to monitor the traffic system, that we have monitoring the traffic. Like what we do is all by hand, so sometimes we miss some, and the numbers aren't that accurate. But we've looked at 3 or 4 different monitoring systems the state has. They've had a Zoom meeting with the 3 or 4 vendors so far, and what the state's proposing is kind of a grant style reimbursement, if I'm correct in saying, for the first 5 years. So, and that's going to be up to $6,000 a year. So, some of the monitoring systems that have been looked at are a little above $6,000 a year, and others are like a subscription base. So it's, I think one of them was $810 a year for a year, and it's a subscription based, but it's so that's kind of what we're looking at. And then obviously we go through the grant reimbursement project, and it won't cost us anything, at least for the first five years, unless we choose something. There's one of them that you can purchase for the whole program for like $6,800, I believe. So if you decided to go with that one, it would cost us $800.
Or the features that make such a wide variance in the rate 800.
Yeah, some of them are. There was one of them that was a subscription based that it equals out to $6,000 a year for there, but they're all relatively similar in what they produce. Is what I mean, the information is all there. They just kind of do it a little bit differently. The subscription based programs are all web based, which is nice because you can log into any computer wherever you're at and see what's going on. But it's all of them are very detailed. So hopefully, if we're able to choose one, our counts will be more accurate because we can actually run a report and it tracks everything from the ICAO system, which basically the registration portion of, so the airplanes they don't really go through the FAA, they use the different systems, so we don't get the blocked tail numbers like we do with FlightAware with what we're using now. And I believe some of the systems will still be able to post up onto our televisions like we do with FlightAware. And that could be another savings too. If this works out, then we don't have to pay the $900 a year for FlightAware to be put up on the TV. So,
when are you looking to get this nailed down?
I'm not sure when. Are they done with the?
Yeah, I haven't heard that the state's working through getting the grant process all signed off with their legal counsel. And I've also been listening on the same ones. One of the things I'd like to do is kind of do a white paper that compares the systems and the cost. Because they use the ADS-B data, some have their own antennas, how they present the information and the programming they provide is kind of some of the differences, but as Rick said, they're quite similar. And one of them seems to really be wanting to pick up as many airports as they can and offering a affordable price.
One of those systems, they're already, a few of the airports in Indiana are already using the system. I guess it's a free version of the system. So it's not as detailed as the subscription version, but they're still, the equipment's the same. They just, if they decide to go ahead, when the state gets done with this grant process and figuring that out, I think those airports will start the subscription process with that company already. They already have the equipment out there. So
you're not looking to make a decision anytime soon, so a little bit of time.
yeah, it'll be a little bit of time. I think whenever NDOT gets through their grant processing, how they're going to do that. And then if there's no other questions on that, Airport Day was really good. It was attended very well. We had 2,200 attendees that day. Young Eagles flew, I think, 139 kids. And the helicopter rides were really popular too. I think they flew 300 passengers in the time they were there. They was just nonstop with them. So that all went well. And then last Saturday we had what's called a dream flight. They came in and flew a World War II veteran and in a 1940 Boeing Stearman. So took him up for a little ride, and it was kind of reliving his past, you know. So it was a good experience. So, and that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Corporate counsel.
Okay, you can have a couple items, one that's on your agenda and a couple walk-on items. So the first is the contract for goods and services with Masters Heating and Cooling. Rick just kind of explained when they came in, did some repairs, and then also for the new HVAC system. So the total price for that contract is $7,864. And so I would ask tonight that you approve and authorize the signing of that contract with Masters Heating and Cooling.
I'd like to make a motion.
I'd move that we approve the Masters Heating and Cooling contract for $7,864.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Rick, good call having the meeting in the hot room.
My vote is to fix it.
Yeah.
Not that warm. The second item for your consideration is a maintenance agreement. That's also with Masters Heating and Cooling, and that is for just maintenance of the HVAC system. And that's for $1,654 for the entire year. So I believe that's 2 visits where they would come out to check on the equipment. So tonight I would ask that you approve and authorize for signature the maintenance agreement. There's also an addendum that I prepared for that contract with Masters Heating and Cooling for their maintenance agreement for the HVAC system at the airport.
I'd like to make a motion.
I would move that we approve the maintenance agreement with Masters Heating and Cooling for $1,654 on an annual basis.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
The final 2 items are both use agreements. The first one, Rick already explained the dream flights. So that took place on September 5th. They were here from only 12 to 1, and they conducted the dream flight for the World War II veteran. So tonight I would just ask that you ratify that use agreement with dream flights for that trip.
Motion.
What do you want in that motion now? What are you?
To ratify the use agreement with dream flights for their event on September 5th.
I move that we ratify the agreement with Dream Flights for their 3 flights.
I think it was just one flight on
One
September
flight
5th.
for 3 people. Yeah, okay.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Okay, and then the final item I have for you tonight is the Greenwood Public Library would like to do an event here at the airport on September 25th. And they're basically going to do a flight with the EAA chapter, and they're also going to do some tours at the airport. I believe Rick's been working with them to do that event as well.
Article in the journal about that.
Was
this
there?
morning, this
Okay.
morning.
Yeah, it's basically like a Young Eagles rally, like we did on Airport Day. They fly the kids, and then they earn a little aviation badge for that. Then they're also going to have tours of the technology center and the airport. Also, a paper airplane contest.
Greenwood Public Library person wrote a column that was in the journal this morning and talked about her parents living nearby and the airport experience. So,
Yeah.
So tonight I would just ask for the authorization of that use agreement with Greenwood Public Library for their event on September 25th.
I'd move that we authorize the use agreement with Greenwood Public Library for their event upcoming.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
And that's all I have this evening.
Great. Thank you, Tom. Financial report, Greg.
All right, so, we did send out the financials to everyone. Hopefully you've had a chance to review them. As Rick mentioned, fuel is selling well. You can see that reflected in the revenue numbers. So far this year, we are currently outspending revenues by $6,700. We've been slowly closing that gap since the beginning of the year. You see our reserve ratio is at 41% now. On the last page, you see the revenue comps, about 6634. Fueling is the big revenue source, which that's normal. The expenses, right now, fuel is 43% almost of expenses. That's higher than normal, but that's because of the amount of sales we've had and having to do additional fill-ups, which does lead me to an action item that I'll need to request from the board. If you look at the budget line items for the Jet A and 100 low lead fuel lines, you can see that the Jet A is at 20% remaining for the year. 100 low lead is at 18.43% remaining for the year. That is with 25% of the year to go. So what I would like from the board is to request your recommendation for an additional appropriation to be presented to City Council for $100,000 in the Jet A line and $75,000 in the 100 low lead line, which would then hopefully be enough to get us through the rest of the year. We recoup it through receipts as we sell it. But I would like the board's recommendation.
Would like to make a motion?
Yeah, I can make a motion that we increase the Jet A fuel budget to $100,000 for this year, and the 100 octane low lead fuel $75,000 for this budget year.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
That's all I have.
Great, thank you much. How about the engineer report, Susan?
Just a quick update on the Aviation expansion project. We received the Indiana Department of Natural Resources floodplain permit for the construction of the floodplain. So that should complete all the station permits that we need for the project. We're currently working on putting together a stormwater report so that we can put in the applications for the Johnson County permit for the construction, the legal drain, and the city permits, the site plan and the erosion control plan. So those are in process. When I put together the engineer's report, the AIP 36 grant for the environmental mitigation had been received for signature. I don't know if Kelsey, has it made it to you?
I think, is that the one that we were having the problems with?
With the email?
Yes, I've signed it.
Okay, so that one should be signed and being issued. So we are starting on the application to the state for the mitigation credits through their system, which will basically be primarily a paperwork project, but it sets you up to be able to move into construction. So any questions on the apron project at this point?
Nope.
No.
Okay, then related to that, have two pay requests for your consideration. The first one's AIP 32, which is the environmental assessment, and then the following mitigation. That's pay request 9 for Hanson's invoice in the amount of $3,354.93. That one is still a federal, state, local grant, so I showed the breakdown on that. But we recommend approval of the invoice and approval of submission of pay request to AIP and then to the state.
Would like to make a motion?
I'll move that we approve Hanson's task order 1 invoice in the amount of $3,354.93 and submission of the AIP and state grant pay request 9 for Avon EA.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Okay, and on the AIP 34 grant, which is the design grant, it's pay request 6, for Hanson's invoice amount of $13,290.21. And then the submission to FAA, my type would be $13,290, where they round down to the nearest dollar. So we recommend approval of the invoice and pay request for that grant also.
I move that we approve Hanson's task order 5 invoice in the amount of $13,290.21 and submission of the AIP 34 pay request for 6 for apron design.
Second.
All's in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Okay, and went through and expanded the grant funding status from just the apron grants to all the grants since we've had 3 related to COVID, just to give you a better feel on where we are on status. So AIP 32, which is the environmental assessment and mitigation, have a balance of, as of this, $5,628 in FA funds, and then they go, associate amount state and local. AIP 33, which was the first COVID grant, the CARES Act grant, the closeout documents have been submitted. I checked with Melanie Myers with the FAA, and they're gone through the closeout in their accounting system, but not through the pay system. So it's in process. It took a couple tries to get the FAA to realize they'd received those closeout documents. AIP 34, which is the apron design grant. Since the last meeting, we received the second part of that multi-year grant. So you may have noticed that the grant balance went up on that. So the total grant's now $366,419. The remaining grant funds are $185,121. AIP 35, which is the Carissa grant, the second COVID grant, that has been submitted. That's been paid, so the balance is 0. We'll start working on the closeout documents for that grant. AIP 36 will be the apron mitigation grant that's just been executed in the amount of $242,340. That one is also a 100% federal grant. And then the other grant that has been received, we have not done any draws yet, is the third COVID grant, AIP 37, which is the airport rescue grant in the amount of $59,000, and the full balance is available. So I'll start working with Rick to put together the operational documentation to do that grant draw. So that's kind of, like I say, guys, we got all these COVID grants. I thought, okay, let me just list it out, because I was trying to figure out which one was going to be numbered where based on when they were issued. So any questions on that? And I'll just carry those until we get closed out. So if you start seeing gaps, we're going to close. And then just the other thing to let you know, we had done the North Hangar Development Extend Water and Sewer, completed it last fall. We've scheduled an 11-month warranty walk next week with the contractor. So our staff and Rick, the contractor, will walk it, see if there's any additional seating or repairs needed. And it looks like it's probably a little bit of seating and grading that's needed. But while it's under warranty, be sure we get them out there to clean that up. So that'll be occurring. And then they had a 12-year warranty. So once that's done and about another month passes, they're committed to that project be complete. So any questions?
Nope.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any board requests? Nope. And we have a claims docket totaling $113,578.42. Anybody like to make a motion to approve the claims docket?
I would move we approve the claims docket of $113,578.42.
Second.
Second, can I, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Mr. Deputy Mayor, you got anything for us?
Nothing.
Then our next meeting is scheduled for October 14th at 5:30 right here, and we are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
No, we won't be able to stay. I told Shirley that I'd be home.
No problem. Foresee anything coming up. The only thing.
So you knock on wood.
Yeah.
Don't say that, guys. So to me,
Any requests?
I,
Three of them.
I sent you that link
Yeah.
to, just to make it easier for you. So,
Okay.
so hopefully you have access to the sheriff.
State fund stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's very helpful.
And it's basically more of a, I think, a name change thing.
It shouldn't be a big deal, I'll look through, I'll have the answer.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't. So it's not a big hurry
Okay,
on that stuff, so.
thank you.
Thank you.
Actually,
Scott, are you in a position to make an appearance someday?
talking with the
Or Mel, I probably need to get on. George says he's got meetings.
transit center.
Oh, okay.
Docket.
Well, I don't know if you need to do that or something. It's a different.
The airport day on that Saturday. We had
Yeah,
a
that's
good
probably-
turnout.
It looks like a good turnout.
Probably what I will do
Oh, oh.
if his dad's on.
Give it to me.
Yeah, my goodness.
How you doing, bud?
After they send off those emails.
Doing better. Not great, but I never will be. Because,
Yeah.
Shirley,
Yeah.
Shirley, okay? Yeah.
That's what I'm worried about it.
Okay,
Okay. Just,
Here it
we
is.
just need to have
Got
a
it.
meeting and then like maybe every day about 2 o'clock, we'll come over and take the Dairy Queen.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Get you a shake.
He told me he'd like go up that handle.
I think that's the best way.
Ice cream.
Oh.
That's the best way to do
Yeah.
it.
I think we're gonna have to give him intervention.
I could use a little ice cream.
That's what I think, Bill.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm just sticking around to make sure some wind's blowing up.
But you're gonna blow me away.
I'm gonna hang on to you till you get the car.
Yeah, they're all worried about my weight.
Yeah.
Then they're the ones responsible.
Yeah, they're the
So-
ones.
Yeah, well, you never
They're
had
gonna
that.
take over
Huh?
maintenance.
Never
It
have
was
been.
too big.